So welcome back to another video lesson. And in this video lesson, you will learn about this beautiful poem written by John Berryman. That is the ball poem from your textbook. That is First Flight of Class 10. Right, so the ball poem. Now, before getting straight with this poem, let me introduce you to the background of this poem. So this poem, the ball poem written by John Merriman, when he saw a boy, a young kid, who was playing with his ball and the ball bounced and got into water. Now the situation was like that. The boy cannot get it back because the water body where the ball fall was not possible for that little boy to get it back. And that made the boy feel sad about it. So the boy was in grief. And that situation, the poet thinks about a very deeper meaning, that is our lost and gain in this world of materials. Let us focus into this opening lines of this poem, that is the ball poem by John Berryman. So what is the boy now who has lost his ball? What? What is he to do? So it go. In these first two opening lines of this poem, John Berryman tells us about the situation of that. So just before losing the ball, the boy was happy. He was playing with that ball. While playing, the ball got into the water and the boy is helpless because the boy cannot get it back by his own from the water. And it is something which the poet saw. So the next three lines, the poet tells us what he saw. Let us see the lines. Merrily bouncing down the street, and then merrily over, there it is in the water. So the ball was bouncing in the street, and through the street, it fall into the water. All right. So that's what the poet saw. And in the last lines, poet says, no use to say, oh, there are other balls. Yes. So the poet implies that there is no point in telling the boy that there are other balls which he can get. That means by buying a new ball from a store, from a shop. Right. So in this line, the poet implies through these lines, oh, there are other balls. The poet tells us that the situation of that boy losing the ball is an ordinary situation because this situation is not that important. It is usual because children play and sometimes they get lost their toys. So there is nothing so important about it. But the point is that though this thing is ordinary situation, the boy cannot understand it. The poet being a mature person, he can understand. He can understand that the situation of losing a ball is not very important. It is an ordinary situation. Now, let me give an example. As a kid, if you lost something, what the other people, that means the grown-up people or the adult people, used to tell you. Suppose take the example of this ball. When you play with your friends, maybe you lost your cricket ball, particularly the boys. Yes? Yes, your parents might tell you that, or the other people who are elder than you might tell you that you don't have to worry about it because you can buy another ball from the sport store. Right? So that was same thing which the poet could tell to the boy. But there is no point in telling that to the boy because the boy was a kid, he was a young boy, and he was not mature enough to understand this situation. So the boy was only sad, was feeling bad about this terrible situation where he has lost his toy, means his ball, and he can do nothing about it. He cannot get it back. Right, so let's continue. Let us take the other lines. An ultimate second grief fixes the boy as he stands rigid, trembling, staring down all his young days into the harbor where his ball went. I would not intrude on him. Alright, so the boy is sad, and at the same time, he was shaken. He was deeply hurt by this situation, which made him rigid. He's not been able to move. He's getting fixed in the same position. And lifelessly, the kid was looking at the ball that was in the water. Now, in this third line, all his young days into the harbor, the poet implies through this line that the loss of that ball was not only that ball, but it was also the youth. Okay, it was also the youthfulness of that young kid. That means whatever emotional attachment the kid had with that ball is gone now. Because he has been playing with that ball for, yes, for a very long period of time. And that way he has a emotional bonding with that ball. Now the ball is in that water, the boy cannot get it back. So that's why all his memories or the emotions as a young kid that was attached with that ball are also gone. And that way his young nature is also gone with that ball. Why? Because now the boy is going to understand the situation and will act like a mature grown up person. And the question is how? Because he is going to understand his situation that he cannot get it back. He can do nothing about it. So it's better that he should move on with his life. All right. Now, in the next line, the poet also says that in that very situation, the poet the poet doesn't want to intrude or interrupt the boy. Next lines, a dime, another ball is worthless. Now he senses first responsible. Now further the poet says that a dime, that means some money, and another new ball has no meaning in their situation, is useless. Now he senses first responsibility. Because even if the money can buy another new ball, it has of no meaning for that young at that very situation because he was deeply hurt by this situation of losing his toy, his ball. With this ball, he has a very strong emotional connection or attachment. Okay. Now, realizing this very fact, the boy would become a mature person. That's what the poet said that he senses first responsibility. Means, although the boy can buy another ball or get a new ball and feeling sad about this old ball that is in the water, it is better that he should move on. And this very feeling or this very learning of the situation teaches the young boy, his first responsibility. His first responsibility, that means to stay in the situation, to move on with his life. Let us take another line, the other next lines of this poem. In a world of possessions, people will take balls. Balls will be lost. Always, little boy, and no one buys a ball back. Money is external. Now, in these lines, the poet implies that the world that we are living is a world of possession. Possession means owning, that you owe something. So we owe most of the materialistic things or the worldly things in this world. Materialistic things like it could be, yes, the mobile phone that you have, the video games that you have, the toys that you have, yes, the good dresses, the makeup kits, right? Or even your relationship, your family, your friends. All these are attachment to this materialistic world. So we all people, that means all the people of this world are attached with some kind of materialistic things or earthly. That's why the poet says that in this world of possession, yes, people will make attachment or will have some kind of materialistic things in their life and will going to lose it. Yes. So the materialistic things, the worldly things are not permanent. For example, the toy that you played once as a kid is of no use when you grow up. Right? So that way the importance of that toy will get lost. So that way your attachment with that ball with that toy will also be gone. Right? Okay. Now next, though we are attached with the materialistic things, we can buy another one or it can be replaced by another materialistic thing. Like suppose you have a very beautiful mobile phone. Say you have a mobile phone, a smartphone, and you used it for some time. But accidentally you get it lost. Or maybe you were going somewhere and you let it fall in the water. Now the mobile phone got damaged. You need to buy a new. So your money can buy another new mobile phone to you. But it is not going to buy you your memories or your emotional attachment with the mobile phone, the older one. Right. So that's what the poet says that though a materialistic thing can be replaced by another one, but our emotions or our feelings cannot be bought with or bought by. So the important thing to understand is that in this lines or in this poem, the ball represents or symbolizes the materialistic things that we owe in our while living in this world. The ball here symbolizes materialistic things. Alright, so that's what the poet says in this. Now let us move to the last lines of this poem. He is learning well behind his desperate eyes. Epistemology of loss, how to stand up, knowing what every man must one day know, and most know many days how to stand up. So in this last lines of this poem, poet says the kid is learning. The learning a very important lesson of life. He's learning those lessons behind those sad eyes, those desperate eyes, when he was looking to that ball. And what the kid was learning? He was learning the epistemology of law. So here the poet has used the word epistemology. So here the poet implies the knowledge of lost. Yes, the understanding of loss. So this cycle of getting or buying things and getting lost is not going to end. It will be like this. The only thing is that we need to understand the situation and we need to move on with our life. So it is the lesson which every person learns in his life. And yes, a person lives a life, understand the situation, and move on with his life. Sometimes we lost things that we love. It could be materialistic things and your attachment with people, your friends, even relationship. But the things that we owe has to get lost or we have to leave it someday. And this hard lesson the young kid was learning. He was, yes, he was understanding this situation and was learning it nicely. Okay. So the kid has to learn this important lesson and has to stand up by his own. That means to move on with his life, not to get stuck with this situation of lost and feel sad about it and be feel sad about it for his life. No, but to move on because our attachment with things will keep on changing. Okay, if I give an example, it could be like same example that I just said before. Your attachment with your mobile phone, right? Yes, you can replace the old mobile phone with a new one. So that way, our attachment with the old mobile phone has changed or is going to change with the. Alright, so this was what this poem, the ball poem, was about, written by John Berryman. Alright, so in the next part of this poem, the ball poem, I will discuss about the poetic, yes, the poetic tools or the poetic things that are being applied by the poet in this poem, and we will discuss about how to write the RTC or to prepare reference to context for this poem. Alright, then I will catch you there in the next part of this poem, that is the ball poem by John Berry